Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to make over a few items and I'm going to start with this high chair that my sweet friend Sue gave me. She didn't want anything for it. She just wanted to see what I could do with it, and it's a little bit rough, but I really like the color that's on it. So all I'm going to do with the paint color is just give it a good distressing. And I found this tray that I had. I think I did it in a previous flip. And it just so happened to fit right on that bottom. And because it has the legs, it kind of stays put very easily. So now I'm not going to attach that because now it's removable. You could still use it as a tray. But it's very sturdy on there. It just sits right down in there like it was made for it. So I'm going to add 2 screws here to this. And I had this box also that I had already painted, and it just happened to fit exactly on that little footrest. So I put a couple screws in there to hold that in place. And now I'm adding a little cast iron wall hook to this very back. And I thought maybe you could add a basket of flowers or something. I didn't mention that what I'm repurposing this high chair into is a plant stand. So I think that this is going to make a really cute plant stand. And like I said, I'm just putting this hook on here. You could either hang a wreath here or a basket of flowers, and then you could put some little pots in the little wooden box there. And then, of course, that tray, you could just set a plant down there, or maybe some gardening things. I just think that this plant stand is very versatile. And like I said, I'm putting this hook here, but I also am going to paint this the same color that the chair is. And this chair, I think, is pretty close to the buttercream that I use. And I just heavily distressed it, and I added some wood glue to that little place in the seat that was just a little bit loose. So I added some wood glue, and I think that sturdied it up well. And like I said, now I'm just going to paint that little wall hook. So I knew I wanted to put some transfers on this, and I was thinking about maybe the magnolia transfer. But then I happened to think of some transfers that my sister thrifted, and she brought them to me because there was several in a pack, and she said she couldn't use them all. So I just happened to think that those would go really well with the tray on the bottom. So as you can see here, I'm applying the transfers to the seat and then up the back a little bit. As you can see here when I distressed this chair, it had some sort of red underneath. But I didn't mind that showing through. I think that when you get different colors in your distress, it just adds to the aged look. So I didn't worry with that having that color on it because it wasn't a bright red at all. I couldn't believe how well this transfer went with my tray on the bottom. It was just almost perfect. So this would make a really pretty spring piece. You could put some purple flowers in the box. Or I've also staged it for Christmas. So this could actually be used to decorate for Christmas, like this, or something similar to this. So this could be a spring piece or a winter piece. I guess you could even make it fall or summer. And I forgot to mention that I sprayed on a clear sealer after I did my transfers because I wasn't familiar with the type of transfer that was, and I wanted to make sure that they stayed on well. And now this bucket, I've had it for years, and it just doesn't seem to be getting any interest. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint this in the color Mint Julep. And it's not an exact match to the green that I'm using, but it'll be close enough. So I just give this 2 coats of this color and let it dry well. And then I'm going to be going over this with some white wax. And I just use Dixie Belle white wax, but you could use any kind that you want. Keep in mind that if you use a liquid wax, it will pull your color off somewhat if you don't first give it a top coat. Now, I'm purposely, even though I'm not using a liquid wax, I'm purposely going to just let this dry to the touch because I want to pull some off with it. That will just save me having to sand it. I want to give it somewhat of a distressed look. So as you can see, if you really bear down, it will take some of your paint off if you don't let it dry really well. And I like that this white wax is toning this color down somewhat. And that's all that I'm going to do to this little bucket, and see if it sells like this. Just keep it kind of simple. So for the next item, I'm going to redo this little table. And I've had this for a while and just not ever done anything with it because I just really, it's so small, I wasn't sure what to even use it for. But I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and use this as a little plant stand and just kind of put it together in this vignette. So I'm using my buttercream, and that's a Dixie Belle off-white color that I like to use. And I'm going to give this 2 coats of this and let it dry well. Like I said, this was a very difficult size table, and other than a plant stand, I'm really not sure what else you would use it for, but I think it's going to work really well for that. I'm not sure why I didn't think of it before now. So I'm just going to, like I said, give this 2 coats, let it dry well, and then I'm going to be distressing this one. And I'm just going to distress it with my sanding block. Because I wanted to sand it down a little below this. I didn't want to, if I were to wet distress it, it would be going down to that blue. And I felt like if I really sanded on it, I would get some dark to come out underneath that. And it did work out really well. And I don't want any heavy distressing on this. I'm just going over the high spots because I'm going to be adding some transfers to this one also. And like I said, I just wanted a little bit of a distress on it. So once I get this sanded, then I'm going to clean it up and or wipe it down, and then put a clear coat over this. So I just took it outside and sprayed it with some Rust-Oleum matte finish clear coat, and let that dry well because I wanted to make sure that my transfers stuck to this one well, and they don't generally like to stick well to unsealed chalk paint. So like I said, I just took it outside and gave it a good coat of that, and then let that dry well, and then I won't have any problem with my transfers sticking. And I don't feel like this little table, because it's so small, I didn't want to overwhelm it with a lot of transfer. So I'm just going to put a little bit on a couple of the corners, and I feel like that will be plenty to dress this up. And I thought at first about just doing it on this front corner and letting it kind of wrap down around the front. And that did work out well. But once I decided to add a stencil to the top of it, I felt like it needed a little bit more. So I ended up adding some more to the back corner. And if you watch me long, you've learned that I really, really like to do my stencils with ink when I can. And this, I think, is going to be a really good opportunity for that. And I've used paint on this one in the past, and I don't always get my paint cleaned off right away, and in this particular one has paint that didn't come off, but unless you do that a lot and let it cake up on there, it won't affect your stencil that much. So, but now when you're using ink, then I have an easier time getting it off because I soak it in a little bit of alcohol, and alcohol will take the stays on ink off. But I like to use these little makeup brushes and put my stencil on. And if you haven't tried this, it makes for a lot cleaner look. And on these little stencils that have a lot of detail like this and have small letters, it's a lot more precise, and I think that you'll enjoy doing these. But as you can see, it needs a little something on the back, so I just turned it around and did the opposite corner and put a little bit of the vine on that opposite back corner. And then I just added another clear coat to the top, and to make sure that my stencils or my transfers stayed on. I really like how that turned out, and I like that vine coming down off the front there. And I went back and added just a little bit of my script stamp to a couple of the legs just to add a little something there. And I didn't worry with doing much on it, but I just thought it needed a little character there. So that's all that I did to that one. So I know these items seem a little more springy, but you know, spring is coming eventually. But I just kind of felt like doing a little something different in this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless you and your family.